We've all done that too.
All right, out of curiosity, how many of you come from marketing backgrounds or have a marketing person on your team for your startup? All right, about half and half, and I'm going to cover the essentials of digital marketing from a practical real-world experience. Just to give you some of my background, I am currently the product manager with Abraxas Technology. We are a data analytics startup that is devoted to serving out-of-home industry. We're based here in Austin. We've been around for about 6 months now, and I come from a marketing background. I've previously done digital marketing and product marketing for a medical devices company, a biotech firm, and several nonprofits. And I went to UT for business school, but I will not bore you with the business school definition of marketing. This is what we had to learn. I'm not going to make you memorize the 5 Ps or Porter's 5 forces. As I said, I'm here to give you the... Welcome in. Aaron. Nice to meet you. I'm going to give you the practical hands-on element of digital marketing for startups. So, to me, digital marketing is the umbrella collective effort to make connections with individuals with the online world. For me, digital marketing encompasses all the following: your website, all your social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, content, which includes everything from your blogs, white papers, articles, email, online advertising, SEO, commerce, downloads, and more. It's a multi-front war from what I see with digital marketing. And why digital marketing matters? I have 6 bullet points I want to cover. Number 1 is branding. In today's landscape, brands are built in the digital world. Your website provides a place to cement your message. Social networks, blogs, videos give you a means to develop and hone your voice. And digital advertising that offers an opportunity to extol the benefits of your service to the people who are most interested in them. With all the different aspects of digital marketing, organizations have a cost-effective way to define their brands to market themselves directly to consumers like never before. That goes into visibility. We're in 2018. If your organization is not on the internet, you might as well don't exist. An organization without a web presence, people will never find you and they will never have heard of you. But on the other hand, an organization with a strong digital presence can expand in its ways that a business can only dream of only 20 years ago. And more likely than not, your first customers are going to get their first exposure to your company online. That follows into education. There's a very interesting article I read on the B2B community website that says that corporate decision makers can reach far back anywhere from 2/3 through their buying cycle before agreeing to talk to any vendors. So what does that mean? It tells us that customers, in this specific case, B2B customers, they turn to your website to investigate your business or nonprofits before deciding to work with them. They probably will not fill out a contact form right away, but don't think that people are ignoring your website. They're definitely checking your website, your social media channels, and trying to get other digital information on you to learn more about your organization. And that ties into access. The more entrances there are to your organization, the more likely people are likely to come inside. And to me, this is what digital marketing is all about. It's a series of doors leading to people to learn more about your organization. A person may have heard of your brand before, but maybe through a shared social media post, an email newsletter to get them to explore, to dig a little deeper. You want to have that door for them just to nurture your lead. When that happens, you can develop a community. Most companies have a network that's in place that's essential for business building, fellow professionals in their industry, former clients, vendors, partners. This gives you the means to build up your lead network online. For example, on LinkedIn, there are a lot of industry-related LinkedIn groups where you can share information and build connections with people within your particular industry, and that can lead to referrals or unexpected partnerships that may not have happened otherwise. And that's the magic and power of community building. And lastly, the data. One of the best things about digital marketing is it leaves a trail for you. There's so many analytics now through the built-in platforms, through Google Analytics, Facebook Analytics, Twitter, that shows you that who's doing what, how many people are interested in a specific piece of content, and what email got the best response. All in all, digital marketing is a great opportunity to learn more about your customers and your brand and recognize new and untapped opportunities. Just drawing on my first world experience, I put down 5 must-haves for your startup. Number 1, you want to have a fast-loading, easy-to-navigate website. Whether you have a professional web developer on your team or you're working with a third-party web developer, develop a website that's easy to navigate and it's optimized for mobile. From various research and news stories I've read, people here check their phones on average once every 12 minutes, probably shorter in most cases. And people look at their phones, from what I've read, up to 80 times per day. I know on our website, 40% of our audience come from mobile, according to Google Analytics. So definitely make sure you have a mobile optimized website. Be social everywhere. Get on all the major social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm going to cover those big 3 to get set up if you haven't already. And depending on your brand, for example, if you're a hospitality business like Airbnb, having a Pinterest and Instagram would be great to showcase homes and rooms available. And then just overall, just developing your personal brand. You want to respond quickly to email and social inquiries. And customers really do engage on how you represent themselves and how you respond to them online, which I'll go into detail a little more later. But first of all, your website. I want to talk about one example that's our hometown favorite, Yeti, which I think has all the essentials. For a good website. You want to represent your brand clearly and concisely. You want to have a call to action. Mother's Day is right around the corner. They're taking advantage of that. They're having special offers right now. And lastly, you want contact information. You have your store locations. And just about us online. From working with startups, if you have a team of less than 10 people, I highly recommend you build have a meet the team page, like showcase your CEO, your founder, marketing person, programmer, everyone on your team to give a more human face to your company, and that's what I've done with all the small groups I've worked with in the past. And then, of course, and this goes without saying, you want to have clear and well-written text. Make sure your information is accessible and easy to read. And let me come back to Google Analytics later. But for me, I come from the content marketing side of marketing. As far as I'm concerned, all marketing is content marketing. You want to deliver the most unique and shareable content to your business to get noticed on the web through the form of good blog entries, articles, white papers, going through your Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And it goes back to what I've previously said about your company needing a presence on the digital world. Great content needs good writing. You get to know your audience, your target prospects, and establish trust. You really want to tell a story that connects with your customers. And I want to share, if you don't have a full-time writer on your team, someone's got to do the writing. Make sure everything's grammatically correct, easy to read. And if you lost your copy of Strunk and White from college and high school, there's another great book I recommend called On Writing Well by William Zinsser. And it really teaches you Strunk and White is more about you shall not, what not to do. On Writing was more what to do, on making nonfiction writing accessible. And to me, style guides are great for a reference point, but the only way to become a good writer is through practice. And you just have to practice, write, rewrite, and rewrite. And I want to show you a great piece of business writing. Jeff Bezos' shareholder letter, which is released every year, has become a classic within business circles. I had a friend who goes to Columbia journalism school tell me they actually used his most recent letter in a class example. But I want to read a few excerpts from it just to show you what business writing, the best of business writing. Or not. I didn't have the excerpt with me, but I recommend you look it up yourself. It's on the SEC's website. The one thing I've noticed about his reading through his newsletter is he tells a story about doing a handstand. He tells the story of one of his employees. Like it's much more difficult and time consuming than it takes, but he ultimately uses the power of narrative to illustrate that high standards are teachable. They're confined to specific domains, but from the day one, you have to recognize what they look like, understand how to get to that position. But overall, it's a great, vivid example of using narrative storytelling to get the point across and ultimately communicate value to your customers and highlight your company culture. And then just some more practical hands-on elements, just reflecting on experiences I have been with all the companies I've been with today. Like I said, I've worked with nonprofit, medical devices, healthcare. Every course, all of those have different business models and marketing plans, but what I do, no matter where I am, is first day on the job as a marketing person, I want to start with a social media audit. Track down all your social media channels that represent your brand online. Look up your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram accounts. A lot of times, employees might have to set up their own individual accounts. There might be something left over from a previous marketing person. You want to get that all under control, at least within your first day, because you want to make sure everything's functioning correctly, identify, shut down any rogue and abandoned accounts, and ultimately just want to ensure that the channels that you're using make the most sense for your brand. But for me, you want to have at least 2 people with all the create a spreadsheet with all the master logins and names, and make sure that if someone can't make it, or if there's a breaking news story, there will be somebody there to update all your social media channels. There's a lot of them out there. Some businesses might use Pinterest, many others will not. But I'll cover the big 3: Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. How many of you guys have a Facebook set up already for your business? Alright, that's everybody, so I'm not going to go too much into that. But how many of you guys verified your page? You get the gray and blue check marks. It's pretty simple. You go into your main, we can do that right now if you have access to your page. But verifying your page ultimately establishes your authenticity and will boost your rankings. Go to the top of your settings page, and there's a simple robocall method. What you do is just follow the directions here, verify the page. Make sure you have a working landline, even if you're an online only business. But with this publicly available landline number, you can have Facebook automatically call you. It'll give you a code. It's a 4-digit verification code. Punch it in, and you're set to go. You automatically get your gray or blue check mark. If you're not able to do that, you can verify through documents. Have your articles of incorporation or your recent utilities bills ready, and then you submit that through the Facebook administrative panel. It takes them about a week to verify. But that's the other method, is if you don't have a landline. But verifying your Facebook page, that's definitely one of the top things to do for you as a social media marketing person on your first day on the job. And then Facebook practices. Again, it depends on what kind of business you are. If you're CNN, if you're a nonprofit, you'll be posting stories every hour. If you're a medical devices company, heavily regulated FDA, probably much less. But in my experience, I would experiment. Once in the morning, maybe around 9:30 a.m., and then once in the afternoon, maybe at 2 or 3, and look at the statuses, and use the analytics to see what time of day people are reading the articles and watching the videos you post. On the topic of videos, video shares from what I've read have increased by over 100% last year, and Facebook is trying to compete with YouTube right now, and they've recently changed their algorithm to prioritize video content. And other things I know from personal experience, keep your posts short and succinct. 40 character posts get 85% more engagement than others. 80% get 66% more. Once you reach a certain limit, Facebook's algorithm will automatically filter off your article, and that's just one thing, because people have short attention spans. But keeping it short as you can is one of the best practices. Having a 1-sentence caption for the articles you post. Then I talked. Go ahead.
What about for videos? What's short? How short should those be?
One sentence description is the rule of thumb. I
No,
follow.
for videos. Videos.
30 seconds.
Okay.
30 seconds. I've seen companies that have done from pushing it up to 3-5 minutes, but you see those dramatically go down. But we live in a soundbite world, and I worked with the medical devices company I worked with in the past is this is actually great for A and B testing. We created a 30-second video of our most recent practice that got like 200% more than our 3-minute long version, which confirmed what we suspected about short soundbite moments getting more views, and more people are more likely to watch through the entirety of the video. And Facebook has within their analytics platform, you can see like how long people watch the video and what time they drop off. So that's something we'll talk about later.
Okay.
But yes, make use of the built-in analytics tool in Facebook. I work at an analytics startup, so this is dear to my heart, and you want to pry as much information as you can through your content you're posting. Look at the number of impressions, the engagements. You can see the number of people who, unlike if you post something really inflammatory and controversial, unless you're in the political world, that probably won't be too big of a concern for you. But using the Facebook analytics tool is very powerful because you can discover basic demographic information, their age, their income level, their location, and just to get some other basic customer information using the tool. And it's also good for competitor analysis. There's also a way you can match yourself against other brands and companies within your industry just to check out how well you're doing. And if people comment or ask genuine questions on Facebook post, be sure to respond to them within half a day because people really do want to know that they're being listened to. And according to a Sprout social study I read, like 1/3 of Facebook users will go to a competitor if they get ignored. So if your customers are talking about you, reaching out to you on social media, follow up with them. Do not ignore them. Next one, Twitter. Everyone has their Twitter set up. This is basic. Everyone knows how to. The only one thing I want to emphasize is there are ideal dimensions for your Facebook photos and your header images. I know for Twitter they do change year to year, but this is the most recent I checked for May. You want a 400 by 400 pixel square profile photo, and I know the banner photo on the top is 1500 by 500. So make sure that that the cover photo you use is optimized for the Twitter platform. And I know Twitter automatically shrinks that down on mobile, so get it down to a 2-to-1 ratio. But if you follow for the desktop, it should be fine should be fine for mobile. Now for Twitter, unfortunately Twitter does not have a step-by-step verification platform like as Facebook does. For Facebook, for Twitter, they come to you. If you're a celebrity like Kanye West or Donald Trump, you will pretty much get your blue check mark. You have to really establish your image in the public eye, and it's pretty much a they come to you sort of process. So once you get to the big leagues, Twitter will come to you. So if you discovered a way to verify your company organization through a step-by-step method, let me know because I haven't found it yet.
There's the link to do it, but right now they had it closed, but maybe it's open now.
Yeah, I saw that they were testing it for some places, but then they shut it down. But they have not done a general rollout for everybody. So the last time I checked with that. And then Twitter practices, just general good Twitter practices I followed with every organization to date. Follow all the subject matter experts within the industry, opinion leaders, competitors. For I were still working for a healthcare startup, I will follow the NIH, the FDA, leading doctors relating to my practice, and just. People do take note. You have this. You do get notified when certain individuals follow you on Twitter, and that's just a good organic way to grow your Twitter following. And one of the that's the most easiest, effective way just to grow up your own your net Twitter following without having to pay a dime for advertising. One of the things I did at my old job is just make sure I follow anywhere from 25 to 75 people every day. About 50 each day will be good, but that's just a way just to crucially build up your number. And when you do that, Twitter has this algorithm that has like suggested follows, and that's a way for you to build up, and you will be included as well once your own following gets bigger and bigger. And the Twitter, of course, it's the same with Facebook, is keep your tweets and statuses short and succinct. It used to be the 140 character limit, but they doubled that now. But I still recommend keeping it within the shorter the better. And visuals will help your tweets. From the market research, people are 3 times more likely to engage with your brand if you use a photo or video in your tweet. And as with Facebook, connect with retweets and replies. If someone replying to you inquiring about an event or about your product, answer their questions within a prompt amount of time. And Twitter has a trending hashtag banner on its left. You can see all the trending hashtags. So today will be Wednesday Wisdom. People will be sharing quotes, like Jeff Bezos this morning shared a Walter Emerson quote. He posts on his refrigerator every morning. But normally there'll be big high-profile events, holidays. Mother's Day is coming up for this weekend. Independence Day in 2 months from now. But if your brand can tie into that, write the hashtag wave if you can, and recommend check it at least once in the morning, and once in the afternoon. And one thing I definitely want to mention is there are tools out there like Buffer and Hootsuite that can cross post on your accounts. I discourage you from doing that, and because, for example, if you post on Facebook using the Twitter app, or on Twitter using the Facebook app, that will show up on a tweet that says this was posted through Facebook, and people still have the sense of authenticity and desirability with social media, and people can see right through it. So you do not want to have like an article go out at 9 a.m. both on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn simultaneously. Vary it up, like space it out between an hour, 90 minutes. And I know that Hootsuite has a way to hide it, but generally you do not want to use an app that shows that you're cross posting. So that's just another general practice guideline I recommend. And then just some brands that I highly recommend you follow for ideas. Wendy's is great. Depending on your business, you probably don't want to be that snarky and bashing your competitors, but they've definitely gotten a lot of attention. Whoever runs the social media accounts definitely deserves a raise. But Wendy's Twitter is definitely one of the best examples I've seen on how they engage with the public. Another one is SpaceX's. They do real time videos of their rocket launches. SpaceX has a pretty interesting business marketing plan when it comes to their social media. 99.9% of their fans and followers will never fly on one of their rockets or become a paying customer. But what I've done is it really inspired passion and enthusiasm for Space 2.0, Space 2.0 and science, which I really think they serve themselves as an educational platform and highlighting the latest advances going on with space exploration and cutting edge technology. And then one just dear to my heart is I'm a foodie and I love to cook with using cast iron. Cast iron is America's oldest cast iron cookware brand, and they post recipes. People share what they're doing with their cast iron cookware, and it's just a great way for people to share content of what they're using with. For example, like if you're like the administrator of a company account, someone's using your product in this really cool way, share that, give them some attention, give them some love, or get them to come back for more. And this is one brand I feel has really mastered doing that in interaction with their customers. LinkedIn is the last but not least. I assume everyone has a LinkedIn set up. LinkedIn is slightly more different from Facebook and Twitter. It's from what I've seen people use, it's a little more formal than the first two platforms. People use it primarily as an HR landing page for a brand to post job openings and highlight company culture, which I, by all means, encourage you to do so. But at the same time, have your employees connect with your company's LinkedIn and continue to publish content on the platform. They actually have a special publishing platform. Whoever you want to become like the public face of your company, whether it's your CEO and founder, you can post articles directly. And Jeff Bezos, Michael Dell have great personal LinkedIn pages that I recommend you follow, where they share good stuff from time to time. And I talked about this earlier in my introduction. Take advantage of LinkedIn groups. Track down, for example, like I'm in the Longhorn Alumni Network. There's one for marketing professionals here in Austin. Look up the ones that's related to industry or whatever is your particular subject of interest. You never know who you encounter, but it's a great way just to make connections and potentially future connections and lead prospects. And LinkedIn also has analytics tool as well. And at their algorithm is they do tell you how it works. Is that they have a bot review at first, then it goes through a in-person review, but they have a way of determining what kind of content what appears more frequently than not on your Facebook, and you can see that with the analytics, like what's good with what you're posting. Paid advertising is I'm sure everyone here has different budgets, different business models. So I cannot give you like what you must do. So I will put this as general as possible. Know and establish a specific goal for what you're doing, whether you're using Google Ads, or Google or Facebook ads. What exactly are you trying to get out of the platform? Are you trying to build brand awareness, acquire more likes, Twitter followers? Are you trying to get them to come to your website to drive traffic, or download a white paper and app, or call your brick and mortar line, which is very easy to set up with Google Ads? Understand what your goal is for that platform. That's the big takeaway I emphasize before you do any kind of paid advertising. Like right now with my company, we have not spent one dime with marketing. Everything I've done is organic written content, which I published on our industry blog. So that's a separate conversation. But know what you want to get out of the platform is what I want to emphasize. Google AdWords is the one I've used the most. Just to give you just a few remarks on that. They have generally a very good ROI depending on your business, but according to Google's own internal reports, businesses make on average about $2 return for every dollar they spend. 65% of people click on a Google ad when they're looking to buy an item online, especially if it's on a need basis. Like I want to find a dentist in my area or a plumber. If it's something like a spur, if your business is like in a spur of the decision search, by all means go for the call the brick and mortar advertising using Google Ads. And the great thing about Google Ads is, I mean, you can track your ROI. It's cost effective, and you can target your demographic. Like, for example, if you're a brick and mortar business, you only serve people within 20 miles of your location. You can set those parameters within Google Ads to only show up to those people living within that vicinity. And having worked in nonprofits, I would want to share with you a little secret. If you're a nonprofit, you can get a free grant up to $10,000 through their monthly grant application. Go on their website; they'll give you the step-by-step on how to do that. But when I was working for a nonprofit think tank out in California, we got $10,000 in free Google AdWords advertising. So, using that, you can reach out to donors and volunteers and just highlight the awareness pertaining to whatever social cause you're doing. So, free money out there if you're a nonprofit. Just one guy to let you know. And then just some glossary. I mean, I don't want to bore you what B2B, pay-per-click, and all those terms. I might have used some of those jargon if I confused you, but there's a dictionary of marketing terms I recommend on HubSpot, which is a great CRM tool. And then lastly, the two platforms regardless of your industry, definitely tie in. Now let's go into Google Analytics. This goes on with your initial website setup. Make sure whenever you set up your own company, set up your company Google account, and through it you set up your Google Analytics account. I'm not going to go through the video, but Google Analytics is basically setting up an account. It'll give you a special JavaScript. You paste that before the head section on your website. So whoever's your programmer, your web developer, give them that JavaScript and put that on every page of your website, which will allow you to track the people who are seeing your page and where they come from. But Google's is, like I said, I'm an analytics guy, and Google Analytics gives you the answer to questions like how many people are visiting, what pages they're frequenting, how long they're on it. Do you need a mobile-friendly website? From my experience, and more likely than not, yes. And where are your referrals coming from? Are they coming from a generic Google search, organic, a paid ad? Google Analytics will give you those answers. And then if you have a if you have a marketplace, you have a shopping cart, you can also set up the JavaScript to show like how many people ultimately complete the conversion journey. So when I was at the Independent Institute, we had two payment platforms. They could pay directly through our online shopping cart, or they can use their PayPal account. One thing I've noticed that when I received orders was that half of all our PayPal orders fell off. It included an additional step for them. They just confused customers on the way. And through Google Analytics, I was able to verify that was the difficulty. That was the step that people kept getting lost in. So with that information, I was very easily able to persuade our web developer and all the other necessary decision makers to make those changes to website to simplify the shopping process. So make sure that you have that JavaScript installed on all the pages of your website. So it sounds really tough, but it isn't. It automatically generates it, and once you have that JavaScript, give it over to a web developer and whoever does your website, insert it in the head section, in the HTML section, and you're good to go. And within 24 hours, it would start generating that data. And Google has a great free academy just to learn more about the platform. This will teach you more than I ever could, but the course is free. You can go through it if nonstop. You can plow through it within 4 to 5 hours, and then there's a certification exam at the end. Pass with an 80%, and you're good to go with a certificate for a year and a half, and looks great on your resume. But if you're job hunting, ultimately it's a tool just to help you understand how the platform works, and ultimately just gain the hands-on experience. But that's definitely something I recommend learning more about and getting certified in. And the same with Google Ads. They have a course. Their fundamentals course is about 5 hours, and then once you master the fundamentals course, there's a 100 question exam at the end. Take that any time. If you pass with 80%, your certificate's valid for about a year, and then you have to take another one, whether it's to you have the options of their display network, which shows where the ads are placed across other websites, mobile advertising. There's several to pick from. But for me, I did their fundamentals with their search and then their display. And once you get that, you're good to go for a year or two. But if you're gonna do Google Ads for your startup, highly recommend you take the course, learn how it works, and get that certificate. And then just some books I found helpful over the years. I mean, this not directly relates to marketing, but you're all involved in the startup world. But books I found extremely helpful and just great to know. The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. He really emphasizes the build, measure, learn methodology. To kind of like many people go about their marketing by just throwing mud on the wall and seeing what sticks. That's not what you want to do. That's not a good way to go about it if you want to save money and learn what sticks. There actually is a scientific methodology on how to learn what works and when to pivot, and Eric Ries goes into great detail about that. Crossing the Chasm by Jeffrey Moore. This is one of the books I actually read at Macombs Business School. But how many are familiar with the technology diffusion curve? So for those of you who don't, it's a bell curve that shows that how people adapt to technology. you have the innovators and the enthusiasts on the far left end. You have the early adopters going next. Then you have the early majority and the late majority. The crossing the chasm part is between the early adopters and the innovators. You want when you cross that chasm, that's where the most of your revenue is coming from. But there are different ways on how to market your organization depending where you are within that buying cycle. And it's a really good book just to learn on where you are. You're all very young startups, so you're going to be at the very far left end. But once as you mature, as you scale, as the marketplace changes, your marketing and sales channels also have to change as well. So this book really teaches you how to be aware of all those steps. And then last but not least, 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. It's based on a Stanford course he taught at Stanford, and really teaches you on how to think to pursue unorthodox thinking. The very first question he opens the book up with is, what's one issue that very few people will agree with you on? Just to get people just racking their brains. That's the interview question he poses to everyone who comes to apply to work for him. But it's just a great way on how to help building building the elements of your startup. Lots of memorable lines. A good company is a conspiracy. If you're spending more time trying to prove work is being done, you go find another job. And so don't virtue signal. It's lots of great tidbits, which I think is applicable to a startup. So not some of it has to relate with marketing, but overall has to do with the startup culture and getting your company off the ground. So those are books I've just found useful in my career, and that's it. So free open-ended question session or comments. Go ahead.
Have you had any experience with Google Data Studio?
I have not used that one.
No?
Mhm.
Trying to get on it, it's a bit complicated. Because you export all the analytics from Google Analytics to make it more visually.
Yes. I'm a general familiar. Yes, visually certainly help with it in looking at your data to pick out the patterns. And I know that all of Google's platforms, you can sync up Google AdWords with Google Analytics to have the information directly flow from each other. So that's definitely one thing. That's why I recommend get the 2-for-1. Get certified analytics. Get certified on AdWords. Connect the two if you're going to pursue Google Ads, and then check with them every day and see what campaigns are working. For Google AdWords, they have the Express option, which is pretty much we'll put on autopilot. But for a young startup, you want to be more careful with your dollars and ultimately check in every week to see how many people are buying. And again, it depends on the nature of your business, really.
Yeah, we use Tableau, which is really expensive.
Yeah, it is.
We're starting to look at Power BI, Microsoft Power BI, which is a
Absolutely.
lot cheaper and has probably all of the same kind of functionality.
So I know that all your startups, y'all bootstraps. You probably be able to subscribe to all the premium state-of-the-art platforms. Like there's Hootsuite. There's a Hootsuite professional model. All of these. That's why I've only put up all the free courses here for you guys to take advantage of. So look for them. Make use of them. Anything else?
Any tips and pointers for Instagram?
Again, it depends on your business. If you're a lifestyle business, restaurants, hospitality, it's great for sharing food pictures.
Yeah.
Your homes you're renting out. If you're a medical devices company, under following all kinds of restrictive FDA guidelines, which I've been in both worlds, probably not so much. So it depends on the nature of really depends on the nature of your business. If you're B2C focused, make use of it. Or if your customer demographic caters primarily to young women, they're on Pinterest. Go for it. Any other points? In the back.
This is like more of a request. Once we go through our Google Analytics like training,
Mhm.
could we email you and ask you to like look it over and make sure we did it right? Are you here? Because Abraxas is part of a Mass Challenge startup, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
We
Goo-
could like ask you some questions if we needed.
yeah, I can definitely, I'd be happy to answer them
Okay.
for you, but it's pretty, it's a self-guided course. So
Right.
if you watch the videos, there'll be checkpoint quizzes, and then they have a lengthy.
Yeah, I've done some of it. I'm just not 100% confident that I set it up correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha. So yeah, I'll be happy to help you out with that. But with any of the, but both for Google Analytics and Google AdWords, the best way to gain experience is just use it on the job. Don't just plow through it like a class in college, but use them in your everyday day to work. If you're not the marketing person, delegate it to someone else who will take responsibility for it. Anyone else? In the back.
Like, how many followers does your platform have for your company when you started off? And what's a good like goal?
Okay.
A reasonable goal to set for ourselves.
Again, it depends on your business. So my very first job was with a think tank out in California. When I got there on first day on the job, I saw they had over 200,000 followers on Facebook and over 15,000 on their Twitter. They told me that before I arrived, their marketing person did a $20,000 marketing campaign over the course of a year to acquire those number of followers, and they shut that off right before I came. But they acquired those followers primarily through paid advertising. When I worked with a medical devices company, that threw a complete curveball at me because there's so many rules and regulations that's imposed by the FDA on how you can or cannot, like with drug claims, with claims like what are side effects, and many brands, I know within the pharmaceutical industry, just radio silent on their social media, and the only thing they ever post is just job opportunities, corporate sponsorship events, which is primarily limited to their LinkedIn, which is understandable given so many rules and regulations. But what I did at that company was our CEO was a pretty savvy businessman. We launched a spin-off venture out of our parent medical devices company that was to be more of a lifestyle brand on healthy living, and then using stem cell injections to help you recover from overtraining injuries if you do happen to get injured. And then we have a network of doctors who can integrate access to regenerative medicine in their practices. So what I did there was, again, when I said earlier at the beginning that digital marketing is a multi-front channel, it really is. It's almost like a formulaic step. From day one, you wanted to have a good website established from the get-go. So when I joined that company, we didn't have we didn't have a programmer or professional IT person on our team, but I was given the leeway to go seek out a good web developer here in Austin. I served as the liaison between our company team of scientists who did all the heavy lifting with the scientific material. Then I made sure that was consumer friendly, and then our web developers put on their website. Once our website was developed, I read through our business plan, and I know that we wanted to go after health-conscious young women within a 50-mile radius of Austin who were into yoga, fitness, just generally healthy living. And with just those guidelines in mind, Facebook ads you can target those specific demographics of age, location, interest, and have your page or like have your page show up. You might like this. My this is in their suggested following page. So I had a $1,000 monthly budget for that company, and I got over the course of 6 months, I got 6,000 fans. So it really depends on what your business is. So my last company, we didn't have a marketing budget. I had to do everything through word of mouth, organic growth. I got about like 500 fans that way. I had to talk five with one hand tied behind my back. And with my current company, we're working on a marketing budget, but everything we've done to date is through word of mouth, and direct sales. My personal strength is writing. I write a blog. I write an article every week for our company website. One of our co-founders is an industry veteran. He has his contacts from the former industry company he was with, and he knows all the industry inside of it, where he can publish published my pieces, and they've been cited, and that service to generate future leads. So use all your assets at your table. Some person might be a really good writer, another person might be really good with paid advertising, but figure out where everyone's strength is and have them move them towards that common goal. So I write the articles, and then my coworker who has the contact, make sure they get placed within the right places without having to pay a dime for advertising.
So have you, I know like Facebook has this feature where you can upload a CSV list and market specifically to like know that person.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had any experience with that?
I know what you're talking about. I have not done that with the companies I went, just based on our business models.
Okay.
But if it's something you think is appropriate, go for it.
Okay.
You have a question? And so, just a couple more points. Just want to rehash on. So, as I said, like I consider digital marketing is a big world. Some people might be really good at SEO, paid advertising. Some people might be really great writers. Some people might be really good graphic designers, make kick-ass videos and Photoshop images. Play to your strengths. Make sure you have some. Make sure you have. For startups, you have to be a Swiss Army knife. You have to get at the end of the day, you have to get things done. Like I'm not a professional graphics artist by any means, but I do have Photoshop on my computer, and just to do like very minor touch-ups. Like I consider myself pretty good at writing articles and knowing what are the Facebook rules, and you want to have a good thumbnail image as well. I didn't cover that, but Facebook also has a way like have an ideal thumbnail image. Of what determines what gets posted in your newsfeed or not, and that's just something else you have to pay attention to. But that's the thing that's exciting to me about startups is you fight in the trenches and you learn every day on the job, and this is what I'm just sharing what I know. It's just from working with all the companies that I've been with to date. In the back.
No, it's very much appreciated. And you've been in our shoes. You're in our shoes.
Yeah. So. Writing is definitely something I recommend. I mean, you have to. Writing to me is just underlies all content. Whether you're writing, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, you can finish your thought.
Whether you're writing a 200, 300 word blog entry or you're writing a lengthy white paper, people can detect the voice and tone of your brand and how you present yourself through your writing. And this is not something you can just learn in one day. It takes years of practice, which I speak from experience. I mean, used to work in nonprofits, so it was a freewheeling wild west with wagon post. Then I moved to a very restricted industry with all kinds of FDA guidelines. I worked for another healthcare startup that didn't have a budget. I'm now with another startup. But I draw on everything I've learned through far. So all the platforms I highlighted are the ones I've used today, like Google Analytics, Facebook, Twitter, and all these platforms have come of age. But definitely pay attention. Just follow all the industry leaders on your website. Find the companies that you admire, subject matter experts, see how they're doing it, and learn from the masters. See what your contemporaries and competitors are doing, just to emulate what's the best practices. So that's just another general rule of thumb. And speaking of news updates, so I do know that at the beginning of January this year, Facebook again, because all the fake news controversy and all that controversy Facebook has gotten with what it determines going on in politics. I know that Facebook changed their algorithm again to deprioritize content coming from brands and companies, and just a more emphasis on individuals and family and friends. So you'll be seeing a lot less corporate content and more from your personal circle of friends from Facebook if you haven't already. But that was one thing they've announced. So follow the official Facebook page. Mark Zuckerberg himself has a following. He talks about these sort of things. What's something big goes on in Facebook, and yeah, just marketing is not something you can just call it a day and be done with it. It's a continuing learning process, which is why I find it so exciting and happy to be a part of, and I still am. I don't consider myself a Jedi Master yet, but this is what I found most effective in my course of the career so far, and I hope you all found some useful tips for your own marketing department in your startups.
Would you be interested in doing the brand?
Thank you. Anyone else want to business start?
Here, please. So for the page verification, the step-by-step that you showed us,
Yes.
do we do it directly from the fan page, or do we do it from like business.facebook.com where we handle?
Yes, so there should be a main administrator. There should be somebody on that page who is an administrator. Through the
They're
administrator,
trying to do it, but they can't find the page verification.
I can go back to that slide.
I think the next one's waiting for me.
What's your opinion on quantity over quality on videos on Facebook if you're direct to consumer?
Again, it depends on the nature of your business. If you're a news outlet like CNN or BuzzFeed, pump out content often as possible. But if you're in a high tech industry, for example, like when I worked for a medical devices company, we spent 6 months perfecting a 3-minute video that make sure the scientific content, medical content was right, comply with the FDA guidelines, and that was just like a masterful company introduction to our product and what we can do for physicians and surgeons.